I can tell you it's not political. Hello, everyone. Welcome to an episode of the Strong Female Athlete Podcast. I am here again solo. I love doing these, as you guys know. And today I have an amazing topic that I get a lot of questions about, and that is what to do when your daughter is benched. Because being sidelined is not fun. It is probably one of the most miserable things as a young female athlete, seeing everyone else on your team out there playing, running around, getting more conditioned and fit, having fun, getting touches on the ball and developing. And then you're just sitting there on the sideline, twiddling your thumbs and just hoping you are going to get subbed in. I've been there before. I've been a bench player before, and I have a lot of tips for you guys today. I actually have 5 main tips on what to do if your young female athlete is a bench player. Stick around till the end because the 5th one will shock you, and not a lot of people are doing number 5, especially in today's youth sports world. This is the one that everyone is royally messing up. So stick around to the end because number 5 is very important. So what to do if your daughter is a bench player? Well, let me tell my story real quick. So when I switched to the best team in the state of Maryland when I was age 14, Bethesda Soccer Club, they had won the state championship multiple years in a row. They had national level girls on their roster. They had some of the best coaches and trainers at their club in the state of Maryland. And I was really entering into a big pond when I joined this team. But I was excited about it. I wanted to level up personally, and I wanted to be on the top team at that age. I was very self-motivated to work my way through, get into the starting lineup, and I didn't go in thinking I would start right away. My goodness, I was coming from a rec team at that point, which is really crazy. I did feel maybe a little bit behind, but I had loved soccer so much. I had a crazy work ethic. I knew that I could level up and break into the starting lineup. So for the first few weeks, I was a bench player. I probably saw maybe 10 minutes a half, which is not a lot. I was getting extremely deconditioned. I wasn't really developing as much as the starters, but I will say the team practices, I really was developing. So for me, it was worth it to stick around, play through the whole season, and try and fight for a starting spot. So what did I do? Now, this comes down to tip number 1 I'm going to give. I asked my coach for specifics of what I needed to work on. I encouraged your daughter to ask her coach for very specific feedback, and don't let her just accept, oh, you just need to improve your fitness. How, in what context? Fitness off the ball, making runs off the ball, timing my runs, getting back on defense. Like, what are the specifics? She has to know. Or just don't have her accept, oh, you need to improve your speed and agility. Well, is it pure speed off the ball? Is it more a tactical error and her decision making isn't as fast? What is it specifically? Oh, you just need to work on your technical skills. Well, is it first touch? Is it getting shots off with my left foot? Is it having crosses be crossed on the ground to my forwards? You need to ask for specifics. Otherwise, she's not going to know what to work on, and she won't have that intentional skills training. Too often, young girls really waste skills training on things they don't even need to work on. So I highly recommend she asks her coach for specifics so she knows exactly what she needs to do on her own. And that technical mastery, she does have to own. She does have to take full responsibility for it, at least the stuff she can do alone, like her first touch, working on more accurate passing, getting shots off, having a library of 1v1 moves. Those are all things girls must own on their own time, because realistically, at team practice, when everyone's there, coaches are not going to work on those things. They're only going to make the most of their time and work on the tactics because they have the whole squad there. So they're going to prioritize that first. And I don't blame them for that. So I hate to say it, but her technical mastery comes down to her. And that's what I did first and foremost to break into the starting lineup. My coach told me, you need to take on defenders more. You're a left midfielder and you need to get confident with your 1v1 moves and then accelerating out of those moves and beating a defender. You also need to work on cutting inside more and also getting shots off with your right foot. I'm left footed. So he didn't want me to always favor going down the left side of the wing and crossing with my left foot. I was already really good at that. So he wanted me to have just this extra edge so that I was unpredictable and I could get shots off with my right foot and I could cut inside and get into the 18-yard box. So I worked on that on my own. I took my ball of bags to the local high school field and I worked on all my 1v1 moves. 20 minutes a day. I kid you not. I was always with the ball. I became best friends with the ball. And if your daughter is not best friends with the ball, I'm sorry, she's not going to break through. There has to be some ownership of her technical development. If she needs to work on a technical skill within the context of the entire game, whether it's opening up her body and having her first touch go into the right space, or being able to get her body in a position to make a run onto the ball, then she needs to work on that within the team practice when everyone is there. And how does she do that? Well, she asks her coach for feedback during the practice. So, for example, if they're doing a small-sided game or a full scrimmage at practice, she can always ask, hey, coach, like, how was that run? Should I make that earlier? Or was my body positioning okay there? And she has to be confident in getting that feedback from her coach at practice. Otherwise, she's going to have no clue the tactical context of her position. So she also needs to work on it at practice. And I really recommend girls, they take the most risks at practice and they try new things because the stakes are so low. In a game, however, you have to be more comfortable with taking those risks. So I recommend girls work on those in practice because it's not like people are going to get mad you gave up a goal or you turned over the ball. It's just practice. So the stakes are really low. So try taking risks in practice as well. Number 2, now this one is going to ruffle some feathers, but number 2 is don't have your girl trash talk the girl who starts over her in her position. I know a lot of you are guilty of this, not just young female athletes, but also the parents. You guys fuel the fire and you tell your girl, yeah, you deserve to start over her. And then you get your young athlete more riled up and then she gets more angry. She gets more resentful. Then she thinks it's personal that she's not starting and it's political and everyone's angry. I know it feels good to do that sometimes, and you get a quick hit of dopamine from just trash talking someone else and uplifting your daughter, but it's time to get real with yourself. And I'll be honest, guys, I got real with myself when I found myself doing this when I wasn't starting. At first, I did fall into that, and I was like, I'm better at her with some things, so I think I could start over her, but I didn't really trash talk the girl. I actually was very real with myself and I was like, Ashley is way better than me. She's a national team player and she deserves to start over me right now. I need to work. She's better than me. And I never was entitled. I never said, oh my gosh, the coach hates me. It's political. I got real with myself and I watched her play out there and I'm like, yeah, the best player's out there right now. It is what it is. So you have to be honest with yourself. Complaining and being resentful that you're not starting and trash talking the starters and saying, well, I'm better than them, it's not going to help. There comes a point when you eventually have to take action and own your development. Why don't you prove that you can do better than them? Maybe if you sub in, prove that you can have a game-changing moment. Prove that you have the highest work ethic. Prove that you don't give up when the ball gets taken from you. It took me several weeks to prove myself. And that's another thing with this one is you have to be patient. I'm not saying like be a bench player your entire life. You might have to switch teams, which we'll get to, but you have to be patient and you have to continue to work and own your development. There's so many things that you can work on to finally prove yourself and get into the starting lineup. And I can tell you, I know parents, you're going to be like, well, it's political. I have been in coaching for many years and I can tell you most of the time it is not political. Of course, there is a small percentage of coaches who ruin it for the rest of us coaches, and maybe it is political, but I can tell you most of the time it is not. Coaches want to win They want to have their best players out there so they can win because coaches' jobs are on the line. If their team's not winning, they're going to switch up the lineup and put new people out there to win games. So I can tell you, coaches are playing the best players. Period. End of story. Okay, now the third one is something that bench players really mess up and they can really get an edge over is doing in-season, year-round speed, strength, and conditioning. Now, you guys have listened to this podcast for many months, maybe many years. You guys keep hearing the same message that girls need to strength, speed, and conditioning train year-round for injury resiliency, but also to continue to improve performance and raise the ceiling on their speed and their agility, and then just their overall confidence. And I can tell you, I work with a core group of athletes during the season year round while their opponents are taking off for 10 months and not seeing their strength coach. And what happens? The girls who in-season strength train end up surpassing the rest. They become faster by the end of the season. They're more available for games and to get playing time because they're healthy and they can actually step on the field. I've had girls who have quit for 10 months of the year and they will get stupid soft tissue injuries like a hamstring strain, a quad pull, and that shouldn't be happening. But if you take off from strength training, you wither away. So bench players, you can really up your ante on in-season strength training, but also in-season speed to get faster than the starters because maybe a lot of the starters aren't working on speed because they're just doing so much and they're overwhelmed. You can use this as an opportunity to get that edge. When I was playing for Bethesda Soccer Club, yes, I was doing my ball mastery and working with the ball on my own. I also was seeing my speed coach year round. I was always refining my speed. And if you don't give your body a consistent speed stimulus, you are only going to slow down in speed compared to everyone else. So make sure you continue to give yourself that explosive stimulus so you're building those fast twitch muscle fibers. And I truly believe that in-season strength, speed, and conditioning training is every athlete's competitive edge nowadays because not everyone's doing it. I can tell you, I'm in the trenches of this on a daily basis. I can tell you so many girls stop doing this type of training once season starts. And then the ones who stay, they stay healthy and they continue to improve their performance. Not everyone's doing it. So are you going to be the one to do it and get that edge? And then one other thing with this is if you are a bench player, you need to be doing in-season conditioning. Now, I've talked before how I don't program conditioning in season, but there's an exception. I do program in-season conditioning for girls who aren't getting playing time in games because I want them to not get deconditioned and I want them to get a similar conditioning effect that the starters get in the games so that the bench players are still continuing to develop and build their speed endurance and their anaerobic capacity. So I want them to do conditioning drills. We do a lot of speed endurance work. We do a lot of repeat sprint ability conditioning to make sure that they're matching those game demands that starters are getting. So bench players, you can absolutely do conditioning in season and should. Because when you do get called onto the field, you don't want to be tired. You don't want to feel deconditioned. You want to feel peppy, ready to go, and not fatigued in the first 10 minutes that you're out there. You want to come from the bench onto the field and be ready to rock. So make sure you also do in-season conditioning. Okay, number 4, we're almost there, guys. Please stay around to number 5 because this one will really shock you. But number 4 is while you're in this holding period and you're working on your ball mastery, you're working on your strength, speed, and conditioning, you also need to be the biggest cheerleader on the bench. And I know it's hard when you see everyone out there having fun, but you have to keep in mind you're part of a team. These are your teammates. You need to uplift them too. You can't just pout on the bench and have resting bitch face and be mad about it. You're on a team, and that's what being a team player is like. You have to cheer your teammates on. You have to work on your character during this time, because if you pout on the bench and you're all resentful and miserable, then you're just going to bring everyone else down, but you're going to make yourself just more miserable if you just wallow in your sorrow all the time. So the more you get involved from the bench, you cheer, you say good job, you say good hustle, you high five the girls who come off, you still work hard at practice, you can control your character during this time too. And I can't repeat this enough. Control your character, because you will feel so much better, and you never want to be a bump on a log who's miserable. You're just going to bring everyone down, and then also yourself. So be a good teammate and cheer your teammates on. Okay, the last one, make sure that you don't just put your identity only in your sport. Now, when I was a bench player for several weeks, I still had other stuff going on. I didn't have my identity fully in soccer. So when bad things happened, it was like, okay, I just need to work, and I'm not too upset about it. But I have other things going in my life that I'm really excited about as well. And I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket here. So I also was in the school band. I was first chair clarinet and in the all-state band, and I loved it. I was actually pretty darn good at clarinet, and I love practicing clarinet on my own and improvising and reading music. And my mom played piano, and we would do duets together. So I had other shit going for me. That was huge for me. I had other hobbies to be excited about. I wasn't just focused on soccer. So if something in soccer was going bad, I was like, great, like I'm going to go play clarinet and have fun in band class. I love band class, by the way. It was like probably one of my favorite subjects in school. You guys probably didn't know that about me, but yes, I was a clarinet player, and I definitely miss it. I need to whip that thing out again. I also was in theater. So I was in the pit band. So the band that was like below the stage during school musicals, I did the pit band as well. So I was really involved in theater, and I also played rec lacrosse. I played rec lacrosse in the spring and summer. It wasn't too serious, and I just had fun with it. And I felt like I could just be free. I played a lot in rec lacrosse, and I got a lot of running in, and it was just a different environment for me. And I almost forgot that I wasn't a starter on my soccer team. I was still working on my ball mastery and my speed, but I was not too devastated about it because I had other stuff going on. And this is the problem. And people will defend early specialization and playing one sport since age 6 until their eyeballs pop out. But I can't tell you enough that we need to consider the mental side of this. If we have our young girls put all of their eggs in just the soccer basket since age 6, or just the lacrosse basket, or just the field hockey basket or volleyball basket, and they do nothing else, that's a problem, because when things go wrong in their main sport, they have nothing else to fall back on that they really enjoy. So I can't repeat enough the importance of having other hobbies to get excited about. So guys, I really hope this helped. I know that being a bench player sucks, but I hope these tools just give you some action to take in the next week. And then look, if your daughter is still a bench player, even after doing all of these things, and she's a bench player for multiple seasons and she's still not breaking through, you want to give it some time here. You don't want to quit halfway through the season. You want to finish it out. If she's still a bench player in multiple seasons, you feel like she doesn't really have a chance even after all the work she put in, then that's when it's time to consider, okay, maybe we should switch teams if playing time is important to her. Okay, maybe she's fine with being a bench player and she's getting a lot out of the practices. She loves the coach. She loves the girls. Okay, if she values that, then maybe stay. But if she's someone who wants to get playing time or who wants to eventually play in college, I'm sorry, you have to get playing time to get recruited. College coaches, when they go to these showcases, they'll watch maybe like 15 minutes of every game. And if your daughter's going in at the 20-minute mark, then she might not get seen. So you have to really think about that as well. And I'll actually link a podcast I did with Coach Dave Gleason on that, how to know when to leave teams and what to do if you are a bench player and you value playing time. So I'll link that below so you guys can check that out. And I really want to hear your thoughts on today's episode, or if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave a comment below. And then most importantly, share. Share this with someone, whether it's your daughter or another parent friend, someone who needs to hear this message so that they can really take action when they're a bench player. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time.